Well, good morning, all. Welcome to Christmas Eve. How's that? Hi, Judy Hatch. Welcome, all. We are Thursday, the 23rd of December. That's correct. Hi, Sandy Sauerbeck, and hi, Sherry Keys. Good morning to you. Hope everybody's doing well. I'm doing well. My uncle says I'm looking sharp. Yeah. I have two ways of doing my hair now, so this is the old way. My wife prefers the new way where it comes forward a little bit. Hi, Judy Martin. Yeah, I am feeling better. So yesterday, I hate to make this isn't about my health stuff, but I did go for a follow up with my the guy who did the procedure, urologist, and he removed that catheter, which went smoothly, thank goodness. And so that's a relief. It lets me be more mobile. Hi, Kip. Good to see you. Merry Christmas to you all. So anyway, so I am feeling better that way. I can get around a little bit better. Still not 100% by far. They've got I said that we'd be transparent about this whole thing. So we're still waiting on the pathology report, right, which is going to tell how invasive the tumor was. And that's pretty critical and key for what's going to happen next. And then the other thing is they had to leave a stent in between my kidney and my bladder because of where the tumor was. So they didn't want that to, in the process of healing, they didn't want that to get clogged up. So, which is important, but that causes some pain sometimes. So anyway, but all in all, it's better than the opposite side of the coin, right? So we're okay. Hi, Carrie. Hi, Norma Bentley. Hi, Kevin Vaughn. Hi, Larry and Carolyn Thomas. So that's all I'm going to talk about, my health stuff. We're okay, right? And more than that, it looks like there was a lot of concern whether I was going to be able to concern on my part. We have so many talented people that we would have carried Christmas Eve off regardless, but it looks like I'll be able to participate fully in Christmas Eve. So that's the big news, too, is tomorrow is Christmas Eve. And at Allen Park Presbyterian Church, both in person and online on our Facebook. We're going to do a Facebook Live. It'll also be carried on our YouTube channel. 3 services. 5:30, which we've got Nick Fuggetti, wonderful, very talented singer, songwriter, with a very kid-oriented. I'm not even going to call it kid-friendly. It's kid-oriented. And Deanna McDonald is going to be liturgist. And so it's going to be very focused. If you got kids and you're willing to go out, this is the place to be, right? We're going to tell the story of Christmas and it's going to be fun because it's going to be with the traditional Christmas carols, but done in a very fun way. And we've got a whole bag of goodies for the kids, including color books about the Christmas story. So that's looking forward to that. And let's see, and then at 7:30 we're having a more contemporary focused service with elements of the Thrive Band, right? Those that could be with us, and so that's going to be wonderful. And again, don't think that it's not going to be a hard rockin' Christmas Eve. It's going to be just have a more contemporary flavor to it, right? And then so that's at 7:30, and then. And you're going to hear a very special story at the 7:30 service, really in place of a sermon. There's no place for sermons on Christmas Eve. And then I'm kind of frozen here, I'm afraid. So let's see what happens. Oh, there we go. So so it'll be a story about happens back in the late 1800s about pioneer family. So that'll be our Christmas focus on Christmas Eve at the 7:30 service, and then the very, very, very traditional organ carols, and that'll be at 10 with communion. And through it all, we're going to have candlelight, but we're going to do candlelight in a very safe way. We've got glow sticks, so it'll be fun. So I see a lot of people are coming, saying hello. Good morning to you all. So anyway, that's all the news. So if you can come out, if you're willing to come out, and we know, we understand that with the numbers in COVID, that you need to be careful. Just as a reminder, we require everybody to be masked at the church. So if you can't abide by that, we'd ask you to please stay home. Watch us online, right? And we're going to do all that. So that is stuff that we've got going on here. And again, everything will be covered live and available afterwards on our Facebook Live and our YouTube channel. Lots and lots of work going on by so many people. Keep your eye out. I'm going to head in to church a little bit later today. I'm going to record a message from the sanctuary, just welcoming everybody to come. And it's a beautiful, the sanctuary is absolutely beautiful right now. So you'll be able to see that. So take a look for that. All right. So my Aunt Mary is with us, and Helen England is with us, and Art Hughes, and Tracy Krutz, and John Clark, and Joanne Butters. Good morning. And I've been rambling on here. So we are going to do on this eve of Christmas Eve, right? Let us gather together and start our day right in the Lord. Or if you're watching it later, celebrate the day with the Lord or finishing the day in thanks. So here we go. Our readings today, and we're down a little bit in our viewership, I see, but that's to be expected, right? There's a lot of stuff going on. I'm sure there's a lot of people that are panicking, saying, "Oh my gosh, Christmas Eve is tomorrow, and I don't have this, and I don't have that." It'll get done. It'll get done. And remember, it's about the celebration of what God did for us, and it's about people being together. That's the most important thing. All right. Says the guy who's been in the hospital, right? Who hasn't been able to do anything. So that's a good excuse for me to feel bad, right? It's the truth. It's the truth. All right, let's start this off with our morning psalm. And we're going to read from Psalm 18 today. And it's verses 1 through 20. Just the way that psalms are put together, a lot of them are people that sometimes they have a beef with God about their current situation, and they're shouting out to God in anger, and then through the course of the psalm they come to the realization of, hey, you are a real God, and I'm going to put all my trust and faith in you, and then that's going to glorify you, and that's what I'm going to do. This one's a little bit different. Because this comes with an attitude of gratefulness from the very, very beginning. So let's listen for the word of the Lord for us today. I love you, O Lord, my strength. The Lord is my rock, my fortress, and my deliverer. My God, my rock, in whom I take refuge, my shield and the horn of my salvation, my stronghold. I call upon the Lord, who is worthy to be praised. So I shall be saved from my enemies. The cords of death encompassed me. The torrents of perdition assailed me. The cords of Sheol entangled me. The snares of death confronted me. In my distress I called upon the Lord. To my God I cried for help. From his temple he heard my voice, and my cry to him reached his ears. Then the earth reeled and rocked. The foundations also of the mountains trembled and quaked because he was angry. Smoke went up from his nostrils, and devouring fire from his mouth. Glowing coals flamed forth from him. He bowed the heavens and came down. Thick darkness was under his feet. He rode on a cherub and flew. came swiftly upon the wings of the wind. He made darkness his covering around him, his canopy thick clouds, dark with water. Out of the brightness before him there broke through his clouds hailstones and coals of fire. The Lord also thundered in the heavens, and the Most High uttered his voice. And he sent out his arrows and scattered them. He flashed forth lightnings and routed them. And the channels of the sea were seen. The foundations of the world were laid bare at your rebuke, O Lord, at the blast of the breath of your nostrils. He reached down from on high. He took me. He drew me out of mighty waters. He delivered me from my strong enemy and from those who hated me, for they were too mighty for me. They confronted me in the day of my calamity, but the Lord was my support. He brought me out into a broad place. He delivered me because he delighted in me. The Lord rewarded me according to my righteousness, according to the cleanliness of my hands. He recompensed me. So ends this reading of the word of the Lord. All thanks be to God. So, I read this and I see the story of somebody who is just has an awful lot of bad stuff going on in their lives. Not nearly all of it of their own doing, but things that are being done to him, and seeing society breaking down around him, ungodly things, and it talks about how through all of this calamity, God comes down. God is angered. God is angered when he sees injustice, and God comes down. Now so that's how we can read this. Somebody writing this, I don't know, 1,500 years before the time of Christ, probably. But we can also see this because it talks about God coming down into earth, and the imagery that is given here, if we overlay that with the imagery that's given to us, both in Matthew, right, and also in Revelation, it's amazingly similar. So I think it is also a premonition of God coming to earth again. Came to earth in the form of a baby, and then we're promised that he's going to come again to redeem everything and everyone. Okay. So now we're in Jeremiah. Jeremiah was, being a kid in the 60s, I still remember Jeremiah was a bullfrog whenever I see this. Three Dog Night wrote that one, but this is Jeremiah the prophet from the Old Testament, and this is chapter 31, verses 10 through 14, and talking about how God is going to rescue his people. All right, so let's listen for the word of the Lord. Hear the word of the Lord, O nations, and declare it in the coastlands far away. Say, he who scattered Israel will gather him, and will keep him as a shepherd flock. I'm going to pause right there. So in Hebrew literature, coastlands it's a word that's used to really just signify something far away, not a specific place. It's just, we know that every piece of land is bordered by water eventually, and so the reference to coastlands is the fact that it's all of the land, right? And no matter, even if you can't see the water, if you kept walking, you would get to it. And that this is being written at a time of after the fall of Israel and Judah, and it's the premonition of God forgiving, right? After the penalty is paid, God forgiving and rewarding by reclaiming and redeeming his people. Okay, so we'll continue on with verse 11. For the Lord has ransomed Jacob being one of the tribes, right? And has redeemed him from hands too strong for him. They shall come and sing aloud on the height of Zion, and they shall be radiant over the goodness of the Lord, over the grain, the wine, and the oil, and over the young of the flock and the herd. Their life shall become like a watered garden, and they shall never languish again. Then shall the young women rejoice in the dance, and the young men and the old shall be merry. I will turn their mourning into joy. I will comfort them and give them gladness for sorrow. I will give the priests their fill of fatness, and my people shall be satisfied with my bounty, says the Lord. So ends this reading of the word of the Lord. All thanks be to God. So, not to worry, right? Even though things have really fallen apart for the whole nation of Israel and they are in exile, keep your hope alive, because there's a wonderful future. And that's a Christmas message that we need to bring to. Moving to our New Testament readings, and the first one is this Galatians, this Paulian letter from Paul that we know that he did, and we're reading in the 3rd chapter, verses 15 through 22. Well, by the way, I have new glasses too, which is great. After my year of medical interventions, right? One of the things is I can see now, and I just got my new glasses prescription, so that's really cool too. Second reading, Galatians. First reading out of the New Testament is Galatians. This letter of Paul to churches in Galatia, which is in Greece area, and again he's warning them that they're kind of going down the wrong path. Somebody after Paul spent a lot of time with them and established the churches there, and now he's off establishing churches in other places, and he's heard that there's somebody a position of influence has come behind him and told these people, hey, Paul's great, he did a great thing here, but he was a little wrong. He was wrong on this part, and what it has to do with Gentiles, non-Jewish people, becoming followers of the way, which is Christianity. And they're maintaining, hey, in order to do this, you need to become Jewish first. And Paul's saying no. And yesterday we heard a little bit of his argument about that. So here we'll continue on. Brothers and sisters, I give an example from daily life. Once a person's will has been ratified, no one adds to it or annuls it. Now the promises were made to Abraham and to his offspring. It does not say, and to offsprings, as of many, but it says, and to your offspring, that is, to one person, who is Christ. My point is this: the law, which came 430 years later, after Moses, does not annul a covenant previously ratified by God so as to nullify the promise. For if the inheritance comes from the law, it no longer comes from the promise, but God granted it to Abraham through the promise. So I'm going to stop right here for a moment, if you're interested. So the argument here is to the Judaizers, but these people who are saying that they had to become Jewish, was he saying, look, yesterday we heard about how he was arguing how Abraham had no knowledge of Christ because he existed before Christ, as many other people, and saying, look, does that person have salvation? Yes, they said the righteousness, the way that he believed in God, lived his life, demonstrated that he believed that, and that was reckoned to him as righteousness, which means that he's redeemable by God. So saying, look, he didn't have the law, right? Law didn't come until a lot longer, 500 years later. So now he's moved ahead, and he's saying, okay, so now we have the law, right? But so the law doesn't displace the promise, and he's making the argument here that that it was to the offspring, right? The offspring of Abraham, right? And I'm saying that's one person's to Christ, so it's to Christ to give, right? Nobody else's. And Christ has always said that your faith is what heals you and saves you. All right, 19. I'm sorry. I explain this. Probably everybody, when you go to seminary, you take all these different classes, and you're better at some than others. And I wasn't terrible at any of them, but I was really, really good at theology, right? Which is the way that you think things through in relation to God and scriptures. So I don't know. Maybe that makes me a little bit. I have a tendency to kind of come back and look into this a little bit deeper. So if you do not enjoy that, or it doesn't add to it, Just ignore it, right? Here we go. We'll pick it up. 19. Why then the law? It was added because of transgressions, until the offspring would come to whom the promise had been made, and it was ordained through angels by a mediator. Now a mediator involves more than one party, but God is one. So I'm going to stop. Right? So the law was given was because people were transgressing. They didn't know how to stay righteous. So the law was given for that. Right? Not to give salvation, but to point people. Kind of think of it, if you ever go to a bowling alley, or back when we did do that, when our kids were young, bowling birthday parties were really popular, and when they were really little, you could get the bumper alleys, right, where they actually had these great big balloons that they would, so that the kids couldn't get in the gutter, right? So kind of think of the law as that. It's these bumpers, right, that keep bumping you back into the right place. That's the purpose of the law that Paul is making right here. Okay? Is the law then opposed to the promises of God? Certainly not. For if a law has been given that could make alive, then righteousness would indeed come through the law. But the Scripture has imprisoned all things under the power of sin, so that what was promised through faith in Jesus Christ might be given to those who believe. So ends this reading of the Word of the Lord. There we go. See, you guys went to church today. All right, Gospel reading, Matthew, first chapter. And we're going to hear about, well, I'll explain it afterwards. Let's just read. A reading from the Gospel of Matthew, chapter 1, verses 1 through 17. Let's listen for the word of the Lord. An account of the genealogy of Jesus, the Messiah, the son of David, the son of Abraham. Abraham was the father of Isaac, and Isaac the father of Jacob, and Jacob the father of Judah and his brothers, and Judah the father of Perez and Zerah by Tamar, and Perez the father of Hezron, and Hezron the father of Aram, and Aram the father of Amminadab, and Amminadab the father of Nahshon, and Nahshon the father of Salmon, and Salmon the father of Boaz by Rahab, and Boaz the father of Obed by Ruth, and Obed the father of Jesse, and Jesse the father of King David. And David was the father of Solomon by the wife of Uriah. And Solomon, that's Bathsheba, right? And Solomon the father of Rehoboam, and Rehoboam the father of Abijah, and Abijah the father of Asaph, and Asaph the father of Jehoshaphat, and Jehoshaphat the father of Joram, and Joram the father of Uzziah, and Uzziah the father of Jotham, and Jotham the father of Ahaz, and Ahaz the father of Hezekiah, and Hezekiah the father of Manasseh, and Manasseh the father of Amos, and Amos the father of Josiah, and Josiah the father of Jeconiah and his brothers, in the time of deportation to Babylon. So now we're back up to 587 BC. Still 500 years before Christ. Okay. And after the deportation to Babylon, Jeconiah was the father of Salathiel, and Salathiel the father of Zerubbabel, and Zerubbabel the father of Abiud, and Abiud the father of Elikim, and Elikim the father of Azor, and Azor the father of Zadok, and Zadok the father of Achim, and Achim the father of Eliud, and Eliud the father of Eleazar, and Eleazar the father of Mathan, and Mathan the father of Jacob, and Jacob the father of Joseph, the husband of Mary, of whom Jesus was born, who is called the Messiah. So all the generations from Abraham to David are 14 generations, and from David to the deportation to Babylon, 14 generations, and from the deportation to Babylon to the Messiah, 14 generations. So ends this reading of the word of the Lord. All thanks be to God. So 14 times 3 is what? 42, right? So we have 42 generations referred to in there. And you might say, why is this? And why does Matthew start this whole thing out, all right, with this genealogy of Jesus, with all these hard names, right? But what he's trying to demonstrate is just what we just read in Galatians. What Paul was saying was, look, he's making, saying that Jesus, we can link Jesus directly to as a relation to Abraham, right? So, even though Paul was arguing about Gentiles just having to have faith in Christ, right? This is being written to a Jewish audience, saying, "Hey, look, the promise was made that the Messiah would come, right, from the root of Jesse, right? But it would also come down as the offspring of Abraham." So here's this whole genealogy that goes through and demonstrates this. We don't pay a whole lot of attention to this in the Protestant church in the United States. We really don't, because it doesn't mean too much to us. To us, it's just, oh man, what a mess of names, right? But, and that's okay. But I just wanted, the purposes of this is that we can see it as that this is here because it demonstrates the fulfillment of the not only the prophecy but the promise. All right. So now that we read all of that today, we don't need to read it tomorrow. Okay? All right. Let's see here. I'm just saying, hi, Barbara Shute, and Carrie, thank you so much for doing that. Carrie, are you guys going to do you guys have plans for tomorrow for Christmas Eve and Good News? I mean, if you don't, believe me, there's a lot going on at the church, so you don't need the good news in the morning and to come there. So anyway, hi, Norma Bentley. Yeah, I hope you all do feel like they're kind of mini Bible studies, because they always do. All right. Okay, and Laurel is with us. Hello. Okay, Doug Goddard, hello. All right, there we go. So, we're getting better at this, folks. It's 9:19. And again, I hope everybody is doing well. I hope you're blessed. I hope you know that you're blessed, right? Regardless of the situation that you're in, you are blessed. And that I hope that that those who feel comfortable and would like to witness, to come home to an in-person church service on Christmas Eve, we're trying to make it very, very accessible and safe. We've got a big sanctuary. We have 3 services, so people should be able to distance. We are requiring people to remain masked. But if you don't, right, or if you're busy, hey, we'll be online, all 3 of those services. So I'm going to bid you adieu now, because I got to rest up and see you guys tomorrow. But I am going to record a message of welcome and invitation for everybody that I'm going to do hopefully from the church. Here in a little bit, I'm going to go in. So look forward to seeing you then. But if I don't happen to interact with any of you between now and Saturday, I wish you all a very, very Merry Christmas, right? Hold on to your loved ones. You never know. You just never know what's going to happen. So don't let the busyness of the season lead to angst and frustration, right? Just love each other, give each other a hug, and everything is going to be cool. It really is. It's going to be great. So I love you all. God loves you. So do we all here at Allen Park Presbyterian Church. Let us show you how, okay? And we'll see you soon. God bless. Have a blessed day in the Lord. And I hope to see or hear from many of you on Christmas Eve. Have a Merry Christmas.